Hi everyone, welcome to the session, and thank you Hui for the introduction. And today we will focus on psychological resilience, and also the focus will be more on mindfulness. So let me share my slides now. Give me a second. Okay, I hope you can see the slides, and please feel free to shout out if you're not able to see this. So what we'll be doing today will be basically focusing on mindfulness practices. My aim is to do 3, but if you do not have time, we'll do at least 2 practices. We'll also talk about the challenges with COVID-19 and also look at psychological resilience through mindfulness. And we have some time to do Q&A too. So let us start with a practice, right? And what I like to do and invite you to do here is basically I hope you're seated, but if you're lying down, you can still practice this. So if you're seated on a chair, what I like to invite you to do is just to put your feet flat on the ground, and then take your palms and just put it on your thigh area. And if you're lying down, you can just relax into the bed and just hear my instructions. And at this point, I'd like to invite you to close your eyes. And bring your attention to your breathing. Noticing your breath, either at the nostrils, your chest area, or perhaps deep down in your belly. Just noticing every single inhalation and exhalation. Your mind might wander, and that's okay. That's what minds do. Gently and firmly bring your attention back to your breathing. Just noticing as you breathe in and out. Noticing the cool sensations at your nostrils when you breathe in, and the warm sensations as you breathe out. Your mind might drift into some thoughts or emotions, and that's okay. Acknowledge it and gently bring it back to your breath. Bring a sense of curiosity to your breath. Is your breath fast or slow? Is it deep or shallow? Noticing every single breath as you inhale and exhale. Your breath is your anchor. Bringing your attention again and again to this breath. And the next one. And the next one. And when you're ready, gently opening your eyes at your next in-breath. I hope this practice was helpful for you. So this practice is called awareness of breath. And we use your breath as an anchor. And if you would like, you can also place your right palm on your heart area and your left palm on your belly area and continue breathing. So it's the same steps, just placing your hands there and noticing the body movement as you breathe. And this practice is especially useful when you feel very stretched, overwhelmed, or perhaps even in your thoughts, when you feel trapped in your thoughts. So keep coming back to your breath as is your anchor. So as I continue to share the next few slides, if it helps, or if you feel at any point that you feel overwhelmed, just come back to that breath. So what are some challenges with COVID-19? And I think you're familiar with this, so I'm just going to glance through these few slides, right? So if we look at what has been published in the Straits Times, you will see that many people, right, and according to the results here, it's more than half, right, have actually cut back on their physical activities. And 73% dine out less. And we know that when you cut down on our physical activities, and when we stop dining out, especially for friends, families, colleagues, chances are it's going to have an impact on our psychological resilience. And we also found from this news at least that 76% of respondents are feeling sad and depressed. And also another 65% rather are feeling lonely. And this is very similar to the clients that I work with. I do find that I have more cases of people who are feeling very low, feeling lonely, feeling trapped, and higher cases of anxiety. And you can also see that because of the numbers of cases in COVID-19 that is increasing, there are more people who are afraid of catching the virus. And we know that when people are fearful, chances are they're going to withdraw, right? So they cut down on physical activities even more. And all of this actually impacts their mental health. And what are some of the challenges? Now, I'm just going to glance through some of them. So if you look at it, social isolation, disruption in daily routine. So most of us used to have, we'll go to work maybe 8 o'clock and come back by 6 or 7. But now that's not a possibility because sometimes we work in longer hours. Need for privacy and personal space is impacted, especially if you have a large family, right? So chances are that your family members are around within the space where you're working. There's more psychological intolerance, prejudice, constant change and worry around that, fear, difficulty sleeping. And we know that sleep is very, very important for our daily functioning, right? And if we look at the research around sleep, we do need about 7.5 to 9 hours of rest. So this is something else that has been a challenge during this period. There's increased stress and many other things. So the question then is, how can I be more resilient, right? And mindfulness is one of the many approaches that you can employ. So maybe let's just quickly define what is psychological resilience. Now, it's really personal qualities that enable us to be able to face diversity, to bounce back, the ability to bounce back. It's not a special skill, and it's really something that every one of us in this room can learn, right? So it's really a learnable skill, let's put it that way, right? And it's a very important factor in mental health, and to kind of negate the impacts of stress and burnout. So let's first look at the benefits of mindfulness. And I'm going to show you this very short video. Sorry, I'll share the data first, right, before the video. So let's look at the benefits first, right? So responding instead of reacting. And I'll talk about the brain part of this very soon as to how does it help us to respond instead of react. So these are some of the benefits of mindfulness, including improved mental health, stress reduction, emotional regulation, which is really, really needed, especially in this phase of our life where we may be getting more irritated, more frustrated with the constant changes in rules and regulations, and perhaps even with family members. Now, positive states of mind, that's the other benefit of mindfulness. Improve attention, working memory, depression is reduced, bipolar disorder is a good treatment for that. Reduce addictive behaviors, enhance, again, attention and resilience, especially in high stress professions such as those, those people who work in A&E, firefighters, police force, and all. And it also increases resilience and decreases burnout. Again, resilience to trauma is improved. We are able to better manage complex challenges. And you would realize that we are in that stage of life right now where our challenges are not linear, and neither are they very straightforward. They're a lot more complex, and therefore practicing mindfulness helps us to cope with that. Greater resiliency, life satisfaction, and again, improved mental health. Now, what you would notice from all of this research and many more is that mindfulness does help us with resiliency, improves our mental health, helps us to have a happier life, and definitely also helps in the areas of reducing stress, depression, and all. Now, and yet it's not a magic pill. So we need to know how to use mindfulness, right, in our daily living. And with this, I want to dive into mindfulness directly. Now, we do know from research that people who practice mindfulness are generally more resilient, and they bounce back way faster than people who don't practice mindfulness. And the other thing we notice is recovery from illnesses, divorces, job loss, and all of that. There's faster recovery for them. So here I'll show you the video as to what is mindfulness. So please take about 3 minutes or so to watch this video. And if there are questions about the video, I'll answer that later too.
We are humans. We think, we feel, we dream. And whether it's a life-changing decision or a passing thought, every single thing we experience occurs in our awareness. Our awareness is made up of our thoughts, emotions, and senses. It's like our own personal internet with an endless amount of content to explore. However, there's one thing we may not realize. Everything we click on, everything we think and do affects our quality of life. This means that positive thoughts and actions can produce satisfaction and well-being, while negative ones can lead to stress and unhappiness. To understand this better, let's explore what's going on in the factory of our mind. Now, it has been estimated that we have 60,000 thoughts every day. 60,000 moments bouncing between excitement, to-do lists, food, judgment, shoes, and love, just to name a few. These mind moments work like a chain reaction, with each one causing the next. So the thought, "I'm hungry," can make us think of pizza, which reminds us we are on a diet, which then makes us angry. The thing is, this system never stops. And with such a massive amount of information constantly passing through us, it's like a crowded restaurant or train station, where it's so loud that we are unable to hear anything at all. And then, when the big trains roll through, such as concerns over finances, relationships, or the future, The result is often chronic stress and even depression. In fact, stress is the most common cause of illnesses, accounting for 2/3 of all doctor visits. But fortunately, there is a way to rise above the noise. It is called mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of observing the present moment of time. Simply noticing whatever we are experiencing or thinking right now, and now, and now. Through practicing mindfulness, also called mindfulness meditation, we gain some space between our thoughts and actions. This provides a uniquely restorative type of relaxation and activates parts of the brain responsible for positive emotional states. At first, being mindful of our thoughts can be a little tricky. So, just like muscles which are built up through exercise, one of the easiest and most effective ways to develop mindfulness is through paying attention to our breath. To breathe mindfully, focus on the physical sensation of the breath moving in and out of your body, noticing every moment of the inhale and the exhale. It has been shown that being mindful of the breath for as little as 5 minutes a day can decrease our stress, increase our attention span, and speed recovery times for those receiving medical care. In stressful times, the practice of observing a single breath mindfully can calm our nerves and give us the clarity needed to respond skillfully to life's challenges. Just a single breath at any given moment can change everything.
Now, thank you for watching that video. And you would notice that many a time we think that mindfulness is like a 30-minute practice, a 1-hour practice. And you can see from the video that is as little as 1 breath, 5 minutes, or perhaps 2 minutes. And today we started with the breath. And very soon I'm going to do another practice with you. And these are very short practices that you and I can do anywhere. So what exactly is mindfulness? Now, the easiest way to remember is these 3 A's, right? The first one is attention. It's really about paying attention and noticing with awareness and non-judgmentally to whatever that's happening to me right now, such as noticing our breath. The second one is acceptance. The ability to be, it's like an attitude of acceptance, the ability to be able to invite all experiences with a sense of accommodation without saying that I don't want this thought, but I want that thought, for example. So the ability to be able to accept whatever that's happening in life and then taking action with that awareness, which is the third one on self-awareness, right? So this third one on awareness is about self-awareness, being aware of our thoughts, our emotions, our actions, intentions, and motivations. And why do we practice these 3 A's? Attention, acceptance, and awareness. Because we want these particular outcomes, which is basically wisdom, especially in life, self-understanding, so that then we can have other understanding, and psychological freedom, especially from thoughts that trap us or emotions that kind of make us feel stuck in life. So the 3 A's lead to these 3 outcomes in mindfulness. Now let's practice another very short practice together. Now I'm going to keep this practice a little bit more brief because we do want to have time for Q&A. So I'd like to invite you to again place your feet flat on the floor, your palms on your thigh, and just close your eyes. And just notice the darkness at the back of your eyelid. Just notice that. And shifting your attention to your nostrils. And as you breathe in and out, just notice what are the smells around you or near you. And now, gently moving to your ears. What sounds are near to you and perhaps further away from you? And now, moving towards your mouth. What are some tastes or aftertaste in your mouth? Or perhaps there's no taste at all. And then shifting to your skin. How do the clothes feel against your skin? Or perhaps the temperature of the room. And when you're ready, at your next in-breath, you may open your eyes. So this practice is called mindful perception. You can do it anywhere. When you go for a walk in the park, or if you're sitting in the train, or even if you're attending a class, just taking 2 minutes or a minute to yourself to engage as deeply as you can with your 5 senses. Now, the practice I did was really short. You can, of course, do this over 10 or 15 minutes. Now, very quickly on the brain science, right? So if you look at the brain science of mindfulness, now I'm not going to go in detail about the brain, but basically the prefrontal cortex is very much used for executive function, decision-making. And the amygdala is the emotional part of our brain. All of what I'm sharing is a limbic system. The emotional part of the brain, where we have the 3 Fs, when we are triggered, we may freeze, fight, or fight. And the third part, the hippocampus, which is the memory part of the brain. Now, this is where our long-term memories are, the hippocampus. The short-term memories are in the prefrontal cortex. Now, when things are comfortable, things are going well, or, we are in a happy moment, these 3 are functioning pretty well. Basically there's a handshake across, right? Now, what happens when there is what we call the amygdala hijack? When there's a hijack that happens, then the amygdala, obviously in your brain it's not swelling up. I'm just using this for visual impact, right? So when the amygdala is hijacked, meaning taken over, right? What basically happens is you and I become less resilient, right? We start to react. We start to become impulsive. We start to react instead of being able to respond. So practicing mindfulness helps us to keep this amygdala in check, to calm the amygdala and to engage the prefrontal cortex. What does it do? It gives that space to be able to pause. And this is why we practice mindfulness, rather one of the reasons why we practice mindfulness. Okay, that animation came a bit late, but we'll move on. Now, let's do this third practice, right? We may not have the time to do the practice, so what I will do is I'll just share how to do it, yeah? So most of us have drank tea or still do drink tea. So maybe it's easy to remember this concept of teas, T-E-A-S. Now, what is teas, right? So teas is basically being aware of our thoughts. What's happening in our thoughts right now? What's happening with our emotions? Are they positive, negative, or neutral? What's happening there? What are some actions that's taking place, right? And these actions could be anything: sleeping too much, eating too much, or sleeping too little. And sensations in the body, such as tension, headache, upset stomach. Now, and of course, all of these are interlinked. So in mindfulness, one of the practices that we have amongst many of them is to be aware of our teas. When something happens and triggers you, pausing, checking in with your teas, right? Because when you check in with your teas, you are now in a position to take more informed decision rather than being impulsive. So one way to look at teas, right, is basically to allow it to sit. Meaning the idea is to pause, allow your mind to calm down, practice breathing if need be, before you actually take any decisions. And the intention here is really practice, practice, and practice. There is no magic formula. It's like what you saw in the video is a muscle. You really have to practice it. And even just 5 minutes a day is extremely helpful. And this is not my opinion. This is what research has shown. That 5 minutes a day consistently is most important for mindfulness. So in summary, mindfulness helps us to reduce the effects of COVID-19, especially the challenges I showed earlier, enhances our resilience and our psychological capital, right? And these are 3 practices that I'm recommending today. And you could just pick one and do it forever, or you could have a variety if you prefer. And consistency is most important, right? This is the most important, consistency. So about 5 minutes daily. And if you would like, you can also continue the practices by downloading this app called Awareness Space, which has got practices and also meditation bell there if you want to. And if you would like, you can actually download it now. And if you'd like to contact me, this is my contact number.